Hello and welcome to Mambition. Woo! Finally,
The first episode is here.
first episode. Right. So welcome to Mambition. My name is Tiffany Scott, and I have with me Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, and we've been wanting to do this for quite some time.
Tell me about it. And I think Alex. Before we get started, I think that in itself says a lot about the whole theme of this podcast. It's like you never have time. So you have to make the time, right? Which is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, I think, you're completely right about that, that finding the time to do this, we've been talking about it for a few months, like literally months now. And we are, we're now recording episode 1. So that's progress.
Yes, hashtag progress, right. So if you're listening on this is the first one. We're super excited, as you can hear from our voices. So we're going to get started with a little bit of an intro and to tell you more about us. So my name is Tiffany Sanya Scott. There's a story behind the name, but we'll get into that another time. And Mambition really is an introduction to motherhood and the challenges of trying to balance our ambition balance our ambition alongside the journey of parenting and being a mum. So a quick story about how I became a mum. So I became a mum in the pandemic, and I've always wanted to be a mum, but it always felt as if when you have a career and you're busy trying to build a career, I think anything that takes you away from it always felt like it would conflict with what you're trying to achieve. So it never felt like there was a right time, but I knew I always wanted to become a mum. But luckily enough, the pandemic came and it presented an opportunity where everything was a stop still, nothing was really happening. So it felt like the right time to take that step back that we were all having to take back anyway, and then actually just get on with having a child. So that's kind of how I transitioned from not having a child to having a child. What about yourself, Alex?
Okay, well, mine's a little bit different. So I didn't know whether I wanted kids or not, and pretty much put it off as long as humanly possible. So I waited till I was sort of 37 and had finally made the decision, let's have one. Okay, let's start trying. And then, so that was January 2020 that we'd made that decision. And we all know what happened to the world very shortly after that. Wasn't sure, do we continue? Do we keep trying? But I hadn't really left myself with the gift of time. So it was kind of like, we'll just have to get on with it and see what happens. Could take months. But by May, I was pregnant. And same for you, because our kids are actually only 10 days apart. And I have to say, I do love being a mum. But unlike you, Tiffany, I am one and done. Sorry to grandparents listening out there, but Ted will be an only child. I do love being a mum, but I don't find being a mum hard, but it is the balance. I like being a mum. I like playing with Ted. I like going out and doing lots of different things with him. But it does mean you feel like you never get a moment to yourself if you're trying to balance that with still progressing in your career and still having a life as well, outside all the other stuff you have to do.
Yeah, I get that. And we'll definitely, there's a lot to say on that, really, isn't it? The balance, right? Which is why we started the podcast. And it's worth kind of going back to exactly what Alice said around this podcast. I think for us, it's just a space to really explore everything. So number one is obviously the name. I'll let Alex introduce the name actually, because she came up with the name. So I'll let you talk about we're calling it Mambition, not Mambition.
Yeah, M-A-M.
It's not Mambition. It's Mam.
Now, you're probably not going to pick up from Tiffany that we are based in the Northeast. To be fair, even though I am sort of Newcastle born and bred, or Northeast born and bred anyway, I don't have a very strong accent. But we are proud. We in the Northeast, we are mums, not mums, and I just love a portmanteau where you smash two words together. We were talking about still being ambitious, still having that drive, but not quite knowing how to balance that with being parents, particularly mums. I think, not to get too down on the men too early on, but I do think they have it easier than us. So yeah, it's all about motherhood and still being ambitious. So, and we couldn't forget that Northeast angle. So although you won't be getting a Northeast vibe from Tiffany's accent, she thankfully has come to live in the Northeast.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was all meant to happen. I definitely am one who believes that things are meant to happen. And Mambition is a vision that we've had for a while. It's just we didn't know how to, or when, really, when it was going to happen, because we're very busy. So yeah, I think, definitely from my perspective, it's just a space to, I feel like I want to live my mum journey out loud, but not just mum journey. I want to live my mum ambition journey out loud. And I definitely don't claim to know everything or a lot of things about being a mom, or even how to balance my ambition alongside being a mom. But I think I'm living it, and Alex is living it, so we'd love to share our journey and really share the challenges, share the obstacles, share how we're struggling, but how we're also overcoming and learning. And I think this is what really we want to do with Mambition.
Yeah, you used a really nice phrase, which was like learning out loud, which I love. And I think that's exactly what we kind of want to give to people, really, isn't it? We want to do that learning out loud and let people take from it, whatever they find helpful from that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's worth it. I think we've obviously made an intro about us. It's certainly worth, I think, sharing a bit about our backgrounds in terms of maybe what we do for work. So I'm in sales, and my background and career has always been recruitment sales. It's always been a role of working with people, communicating, that sort of thing. So throughout, even part of becoming a mum, I've always been a very, very ambitious person. And what ambition means to me now that I'm a mom is just this fact that I'm still me behind I'm still Tiffany. I'm still this person with dreams, with goals. I have goals I can't even speak out loud sometimes. So, but now I have children. So sometimes it can feel that it's two different things. It can feel like it's slightly conflicting because you want to go really quickly, but then your children, not that they slow you down, but you have priorities now that is not quite career aligned. And I think, like the other day I was thinking about it, the way I express it is that you're still ambitious when you have a child, but just now your priorities have changed. So where your career is perhaps the most important thing to you, suddenly your child is the most important to you. But at the back of your mind, like, I still want to do this, I just want to do that, but let me just bring up this child first. So I want to say that out now to mothers out there, if you feel like maybe you just had a child and you're still making sense of it, like, I want to go to work, but actually I don't want to be at work 9 to 6 anymore. I want to be home maybe 2 days a week. That's natural because you've just had a child. So there's something else that's actually very important to you. So for me, it's about channeling it and revising how I'm ambitious. It might just be that maybe you have to wait for your child to go to bed before you start writing that article, but again, it's accepting that something's changed. So you're not less ambitious, you're not less anything or amazing. It's just that you need to figure it out again, or you need to repackage it again. I think that's kind of almost like the tension.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I work in international. Well, I work in university. I work in international higher education. So my job is setting up partnerships with other international universities, working with our academics to build those partnerships, and you can probably guess involves a fair amount of international travel, which pre-child, I absolutely loved. I couldn't get enough of the traveling, and I saw it as a huge perk of the job. Now, talking about priorities shifting and changing, for me, there's a bit of tension there at the moment. I still like the travel theoretically, but up until now, I've probably left Ted overnight a handful of times, and that travel becomes a lot more difficult. You know, if he's sick, you can't get back at the drop of a hat. But there's part of me that thinks I maybe need to pivot, change career slightly. But there's part of me that worries that I'm going to regret that in a couple of years when I then don't have those opportunities to travel. And yeah, I think working out, taking the time to work out how you then focus your career and what your new priorities are is really crucial to that. And I'd also say that's something that can take a little bit of time. Certainly for me, I'm not claiming to have the answers on that one. That's still something I'm working through about how do I balance a career. And, you know, I really enjoy my job. It's interesting. I get to meet lots of interesting people. But yeah, how do I balance that? How do I do that traveling? And how do I get out of that travel at the moment?
Yeah, that makes, I completely get Alex. And just very quickly as well, we forgot to mention the ages of our children. I might give some reference.
Oh yeah.
I have a 3-year-old boy and a 1-year-old daughter.
And I've got a 3-year-old boy. They've just had their third birthdays, actually, both of them. But yeah, I've got a very full-on 3-year-old. Tiffany's got a very nice, chilled, laid-back 3-year-old.
But I'm very, very, very ambitious and out there 1-year-old. So I feel like, you know, nature's got me back for this, right? Like, I see you sitting over there, all chill out with your son. Here's an out there child girl for you. So yeah, I definitely have the balance now. My life is now. Yeah, my daughter is very, very out there.
Yeah, I think I'll not mention. I don't know whether we're mentioning names. I've said Ted's name, but yeah, Tiffany's son. I was very jealous of how like nice and calm and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm just I think we'll get on to all the other stuff of impact and, you know, I don't know, all that sometime down the line. But yeah, if you are still listening,
hopefully.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, Alex, in terms of part of this first intro?
I think we maybe just wanted to talk a little bit about maybe what to expect in future episodes. And yeah, I think that was it. So who's covering that?
Well, I'll start with that. Nice and short. I think it's always, there's so much to speak about because it's such a, you know, it is quite a big topic, ambition and motherhood. But really, with future episodes, what we're going to really discuss is we're going to discuss how we redefine ambition in terms of, like I said, you're not less ambitious because you have a child. It's just a different way of living out your ambition. And sometimes you have to almost make peace with the fact that life has changed. And I think that's quite hard to do because I think men, I mean, again, you know, I don't care what people said, men and women are living out very different experiences when it comes to parenting. Men can easily, I mean, I remember when my daughter was born, and very next day my husband went back to work. And I just kind of like, and he just left. And I just sat there like, got a 2-year-old and a little child. And I remember I couldn't even find time to like even, not find time, but like I wasn't sure how to even like brush my teeth because I couldn't, I put her down, you know, because she was tiny. So I remember just being like, wow, like this is overwhelming, but not means my husband's a bad person. It just means like, it's just a different space, you know, moms have a different role. And I think that's what makes it, I feel this a very relevant podcast. It's the fact that it's such a different journey, and you know, you meet another mom, you're like, oh yeah, you get it. It's just I think that's, you know, we can't excuse the fact that it's just different. So, you know, we're not comparing ourselves to men, but we're just saying that it's such a different space that sometimes you need to be in the company of other mothers and other women to really be able to like, yep, I understand what you're going through, right? What do you think?
No, I agree with that completely, because I think, you know, there's so many things, like even I know that you're going through like similar sort of stuff with your littlest one, but Ted, I like breastfed him till he was like 2 and a little bit. And that meant that I did all the kind of night feeding and stuff like that. And I feel that even though like my husband was in the same room as us while all of that was going on, I feel like he still got to sleep. That was a sore point for quite a long time. Like, you're still able to actually sleep for a few hours at night. And I think actually the pandemic was quite helpful for our experience, though, because I think it meant he was working from home. I think it meant he actually saw what went into that kind of mothering of a child in the first year of their life.
Yes.
Whereas I don't think if he had been in the office, I think he'd have come home and thought, like, why the hell is the house so untidy? Like, what's gone on here? But he was here so he could see that. I think definitely I underestimated the impact that it has on people, colleagues at work and things like that. I had no idea. I think, it's very easy to be a perfect parent before you are one. Definitely like questioned people's decisions, didn't understand like why their kid was sick all the time after they went to nursery. And I get it now. I get it.
Yes. On that note, I do want to apologize to all my old colleagues. I never asked about your kids, and I never said. I remember, like, before I became a mom myself, and I was in the corporate world. Well, what I call corporate, like going to work 9 to 5, like sort of thing, where so many people had children, and I never for once said. I remember I would occasionally ask about the kids, but I'm sorry that I didn't ask about your kids every day, and because now my children are a part of every conversation I have. So for them to know about that space to talk about their kids or what they're going through, I'm sorry I didn't ask. How's your son? How is it today? Did you have that many nappies? Or nappy changes? I don't know, but it's I think the word is all encompassing.
Yeah, I really agree with that.
It's so all encompassing that I'm sorry, but you can't go to work and just switch off and be this person, because at the back of your mind, you're thinking about your children, or if they're not well, you're thinking of the other feet. Even if daddy's got them, you're texting, they'll be at the bottle yet. So I'm sorry to all my colleagues. I really am that I didn't ask more about your children.
Yeah, I was definitely very similar, of only being passingly interested in their children. And yeah, I get it. And people are probably like, will you just stop talking about Ted? Please stop at work. But Ted comes with the territory, so never mind.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of the long way of saying, yeah, we are, understanding with this podcast how we're going to redefine ambition.
Yeah, and I think as well, talking about, we've touched upon it a bit there, but some of the societal pressures, the expectations of women and mothers, and for sure, like the expectations of the workplace. That's something I could talk about at length. So I'll move on. We'll come back to that.
No, Alex, I think
I've got thoughts.
We need space to vent. We respect.
Yeah, we'll save that. We'll park that one for another episode. I've got many thoughts that are just dying to come spilling out.
Exactly. And again, a couple of topics we'll be exploring is the juggling act. It's a juggling act. So, and especially tips and strategies that are working for us, and that are working for us in terms of just being able to slightly better manage it. And later down the line, I'll let you take over this one, Alex, because this was your idea about interviewing other women.
Yeah, so we personally know quite a lot of amazing mothers and people who are working in high-flying, interesting careers, and they're balancing that with motherhood. So we want to interview them and talk about what works for them, how they manage it, what their tips and strategies are as well. So yeah, I think that'll be really interesting. But yeah, that'll be a little bit further down the line once we've maybe got the hang of this a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel that's coming though.
Yeah, it has to. I think it's not just. This is it's huge. It's such a huge area. And I think the key, and I'll say this. I know we're laughing or making adjustments and all things, but this is not us complaining. It's not like a space we want to vent or rant. This is a space to make sense of this.
Yeah,
I think it's important to know that it's hard, but our message is not that it's hard, but it's impossible. Our message is that it's hard, but you will figure it out in your own.
Yeah.
So don't compare yourself to other people. Just sit with your discomfort of this chaos. This, I mean, I call it, I don't know about you, but I call it the sensory, like sensory overload. So
Yeah.
I used to wake up in the morning and I used to journal and I used to do my affirmations and I'd go to the gym and it was quiet. I mean, it used to be, my life used to be very quiet. So although I'm very sociable, I did used to spend a lot of time on my own and I liked that.
Yeah.
But now I wake up and it's like, this kid is complaining, man. So my son is like, no, I want milk, I want this. And it's like, my daughter's, it's like, there's silence is rare. So
yeah, I feel that. Like I've sneaked away to the top of our house. I'm like locked away in a room up here. But I know that there's probably some form of chaos breaking out downstairs. Yeah, and probably I imagine at your house as well.
oh, I can hear it, and I'm like, yes. In fact, I'm up here for a very long time. But yeah, I think it's a good way to wrap up this first podcast by saying that this is a space where we want to inspire other women. This is a space where we want to live out loud what we're learning and growing from. This is a space where we want to tell you that it's hard, but you figure it out. This is a space where we want to tell you that it is different. And I think that's the key thing, is to accept that things have changed. You know, I mean, another kind of perspective is that I remember now that I have children, I think, wow, I actually don't have time. But I used to think I didn't have time. So I was lying. I lied a lot.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. No, you're not busy. Like, I'm sorry, but again, when you don't have children, you're not that busy sometimes, unless you are busy, like apartments. But I was not busy. I probably could have done more with my life. I think that's one key theme for me, is that this is what, okay, right, we'll end with this, right? Obviously, I'll let you also share your perspective, but the way that I feel about this journey is I wasn't busy before. I had time before, but I didn't use it in the best way. And now that I have children, I feel like now I don't have time. So how am I going to use that time I have?
Yeah.
It's been really inspiring for me. And it's why I can cut out the BS. I can cut out the things that really don't need doing. I'm a little bit more ruthless about my time and energy, because I'm like, listen, I haven't got 24 hours. I've probably got about 5-6 good hours of work really in a day, because I've got kids. And, you know, sometimes on a meeting, I'm on a meeting, I can hear one of them crying, and I actually just want to be like, okay, I'm done with this meeting. I don't care. So it's knowing that your time is limited. It's quite inspiring, because then you think, wow, okay, I only have 6 hours. What can I do with 6 good hours in a day? So that's the message, I would say. I don't know if, like, what you think, Alex, or your perspective.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that we want this to be positive. I hesitate to use the word empowering, but I think empower people to sort of take control of the time that they do have, and use that to drive their ambition, to be successful, to achieve the things they want to, and still have that time to be a parent, and actually use the time that you're with your children to focus on them and do this outside of that. You know, I completely feel you about the wasted time, and I think we've talked about all those hours lying in front of the TV watching episodes of Come Dine With Me while feeling hungover.
I've seen every episode. I don't know if I should be admitting that. I've seen every episode of Come Dine and First Date. Oh,
yeah, but those days are gone.
I don't even know what. I mean, I you know, it's funny because I remember thinking to myself once, it was this weird decision I made in my head, like I was never going to miss an episode of First Dates. But now it's like, I don't know what episode they're on because I had to miss it. I remember when there was time when that was not an option for me. I could not miss it. Anyway, yes, great.
So I've enjoyed talking about this. I feel like there's so much more to come. And yeah, hopefully we'll take you with us, and hopefully you'll learn something along the way.
Hopefully so, and we will learn out loud as well. But yeah, thank you so much. If you have joined us, if you have enjoyed it, please share, like, comment, join us for the next one. And we are super, super excited to record more of this. Thank you.